What's going on, guys? It's Logan, it's EJ, and welcome back to the SwampCast pod, baby. We're here. It's been a minute, but not a lot's been going on. Of course, we had baseball season. We chatted a little bit about that, what's been going on there. That's looking decent, even though we just got swept by the Tennessee Volunteers in baseball, but it's okay. Hey, happy St. Patrick's Day, baby. It's green. It's green, what we'd love to see. Maybe if Notre Dame would have wore their Kelly Green jerseys, they would have won the national championship.
Yes.
I know EJ was calling for that. But yeah, man, happy St. Patrick's Day. EJ, how are you doing, man? How you feeling? March Madness is officially here. The brackets are here, man. Everyone's freaking out. Champions have been crowned, and now we got the national champion to crown. How are we feeling, EJ?
We are feeling Gucci. We are the champions, my friend. There we go. Can someone sing that for us, please? Because we're feeling good.
Feeling good, baby.
And our first major, we won the title, national title in 17. That's like the last major thing we won. Basketball, we last won the SEC in 2014. So it's been a while.
I was
Feeling
in
good.
fourth grade. Jesus. Yeah, man, feeling good. And man, we did it in a beautiful fashion, man. I mean, God, that way to end it was unbelievable. I mean, I love watching Todd Golden on the sideline. He is just so much fun to watch, man. His energy. I mean, maybe it's just because you got a guy like Billy Napier that's more relaxed and more chill. Then you got Todd Golden, screaming and going crazy. Dude, I would pay so much money to see his halftime speeches. I'm telling you right now, dog. I know he's going crazy in there. But yeah, whatever he's doing, it's working. Man, I mean, EJ, we can get into all the specifics later, but this team looks complete. Like, honestly, looks complete. They're unbelievable. I think the key now going forward is just stay healthy, and I think we're in a good spot. But God, man, I mean, even our bench guys come in and they just go off. It's a scary sight to see. Like, our bench guys are starters at, I would say, majority of other programs, and that's what's really scary. So shout out to Todd Golden on putting this roster together. But yeah, man, Gators get it done, like you said. Tennessee. EJ, what were your expectations going into that game? Obviously last time we played Tennessee, that's when we only scored 43 points, right? Or 40, what was it? 46 points, I believe.
44 points.
There you go. Man, brutal game. And then we come back, I think the third time this season. This is the third time we played them, if I'm not mistaken. And we come out with the victory. So, I mean, all the SEC tournament games, we scored a lot of points in. We went 95, 104, and 86. Offense was popping off against a really good Tennessee defense.
Yeah, so and I know we'll talk a little bit more in depth about basketball, but the Gators now have the number one offensive efficiency rated on KenPom, which is the holy grail of basketball analytics. And we'll show you all the rankings. But does everyone know who was the number one offense last year? UConn. So, and what did UConn do? They won the whole thing. It's very, very, very difficult. When you're ranked number one on offense and that metric, what that means is it is very difficult to stop you from scoring. That's basically what it means. Every possession, Florida will come away with some kind of point. Either they make the first shot. If they miss the first shot, they get the rebound, put it back. If they don't get the rebound, they get fouled. So that is a point that's added toward that possession if they make the free throw. Tennessee came into that game with the number one defense on KenPom in the nation. And still, we ended up scoring we probably would have scored 90 if they didn't call so many fouls. But this team is just going to be a bear to stop from scoring, no matter who they're playing against. And that is single-handedly what's going to keep this team in all these games. And that was the expectation going in this game, was that the Florida Gators depth, the Florida Gators just overall energy, and just the scoring was going to be too much for any of these teams to handle, and it proved that against Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, and I think Aberdeen hitting that shot at halftime, I think that was kind of the tone setter for the rest of the game, and they're like, "Oh shit, okay, this
Oh,
is
oh, so do we know the statistic? I got to give the statistic.
go for it."
Denzel Aberdeen, when he makes a three-pointer, and y'all can be feel free to look this up. We are 21 and 0 when Denzel Aberdeen plays a game and makes a three-pointer.
Golly,
So, and we're not, I believe we're 9 and 4 when he doesn't. He did not make a three against Missouri, but we still won. He made one against Alabama, made one right at the half in this game against Tennessee. That's just a wild and crazy stat, right? So as soon as that three-pointer went in right before halftime, I was like, ball game.
dude, unbelievable, man, a phenomenal young player. Um, yeah, just a fun game. I was able to actually watch this one unlike some of the previous ones, and yeah, I hate Tennessee, man. Listen, we've talked about this before. On like the scale of rivals, I hate Tennessee. I don't know what it is. It's that orange, bro. The fans, their football stadium is terrible. Yeah, man, I hate everything about Tennessee. So seeing them fall down really puts a smile on my face. I will say this though, it wouldn't surprise me if they make a crazy run in this tournament though. They're a very, very good basketball team.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of these SEC teams do, man. Like that's the thing, EJ. Everyone's like Duke's a great basketball team, and Houston and some of these others, but no one has um the schedule and the success that Florida has had. I mean, we have 2 wins against number 1 seeds, right? We have how many top 10 wins? It's unbelievable, and a lot of that has to do with how much depth the SEC has this year. Some people saying, like I said, I'm not big on basketball. People are saying possibly the best conference we've ever seen in college basketball, and the Gators have been this dominant. That's unbelievable. There's not one easy game in this conference, and I think Florida, playing in this conference, playing all these teams, playing all these number 1 teams, the best defense in the country, and still having this record is unreal. I think you take any of these other big schools that people are saying are really good and give them Florida's schedule, I don't think they do as well as us. And it's been unbelievable. So yeah, big win. And just it feels great, like you said, to get an SEC championship, man, to get another banner in the O'Connell Center.
For sure, man. And the SEC got 14 teams into the tournament out of 16, which is a record. Um, so that right there tells you that the conference, this is the best conference performance in history. So we got to just finish the deal, and one of us has to win the whole thing. Because an SEC team has not won the championship since 2012, Kentucky. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. When it comes to March Madness, it's all about different styles. Can you win against different styles? The Florida Gators have proven if you play a slow tempo, we can grind it out. If you go up and down like Missouri wants to play a frantic up and down, steal the ball, run down the court, shoot a three. We can play that too. If you want to play basic basketball, like who's that, Oklahoma or whoever, we can do that all day. Mike White's teams usually couldn't do that because they weren't really that great on the offensive end. This Todd Golden team, I'm telling you, very well balanced.
For sure, man, for sure. Well, I mean, we obviously have some like one football thing to talk about, but we're already kind of on this basketball trail right now. I say we go ahead
Yeah.
and stay on it.
Okay.
What do you want to dive into next? We can go analytics, we can go bracket. What are you feeling?
So I wanted to do a quick just recap of the Tennessee game.
Mhm.
This Tennessee game, first to kind of recap, We beat Missouri. Missouri reminds me of those Florida State teams that used to always beat us. Like, believe it or not, Florida State had like a 7 year win streak against us. And Dennis Gates, who coaches Missouri, was an assistant coach on that Florida State team for like 9 years. So that style of play, and ever since he left in 2019, notice Florida State sort of dropped off. He's kind of like the Kirby Smart of that Alabama defense. Um, Missouri is deep, physical, fast. They want to steal the ball, get up and down the court. We were able to withstand that. We scored 95 points on them, and we were able to, I believe, out rebound them as well, which was great. The Alabama game presented a little bit of a challenge for us, in that Alabama was a hot shooting team. But what we notice about both of those games is the Florida depth. Missouri lost Josh Gray, who's their center, about 6, 7 minutes to go in the game. When that happened, the game was pretty much over. Condon started to dominate in the paint, and Missouri looked a little bit tired. Now, Missouri also didn't have Mark Mitchell, who's one of their best players. Um, but hey, we've played games against top ranked teams without one of our best players, and we were able to win. We also, in the Alabama game, they lost Grant Nelson, who's one of their starters, one of their top players. The games just sort of went downhill on Alabama after that game. And in the second half, with about 15 minutes to go, Alabama's legs were just completely gone on the defensive side. And we scored almost, I think we scored like 57 points on them in the second half. Um, when it comes to offensive efficiency, um, Alabama and or their coach Nate Oates and Todd Golden are kind of on the same wavelength in terms of scoring. So if you look at the, total field goals, how you score 90 something points in college is pretty simple. It's how many possessions do you have and how many shots can you get off? Because if you think about it, in the NBA, these guys are scoring like 110 points a game or something like that, but it's all about them being able to shoot 80 shots a game or something like that, right? Um, if you shoot 80 shots a game and you make 50% of your shots, that's 80 points right there, plus your free throws, and then some of your shots are threes, you end up with around 100 something points. In college basketball, remember, we have a 30-second shot clock, not 24, so it's a little bit slower. And we only play 40 minutes. They play 48 minutes in the NBA. So you play a shorter game. So what these guys have figured out, especially Golden, is we got to get off at least 60 to 70 shots a game. Most teams in college, get off around 50 something shots a game. He always wants to hit the 60, 70 shot mark. Because if you're shooting the ball 60 something times, the math shows you're going to score. Plus, if you rebound every time or 30 to 40% of your misses, you get fouled every time you miss, you're coming away with points. So if you just look at the field goals, Tennessee shot the ball 49 times to our 61 shots. That's the game right there. That's the game right. We shoot the ball more than you do. We have more chances to score than you do. Um, the free throws were about even. The three pointers, pretty much exactly the same. Like we just made one more than they did. Um, the difference was the rebounding. If you look at the 39 to 25 rebounding edge that we had in the game, 15 offensive rebounds to their five. That was the shot differential right there. So as you go throughout the season, I believe there's been only one or two games in 34 games that we've played where the other team got more rebounds than we did. Um, we're just a bear. We're just a beast on the boards. The last 6 games, we're scoring 94 points and giving up 79 points. So that's a 15-point differential. The reality is, all of those teams that we've played, have been like top 20 ranked teams in the nation in analytics. So you're talking about, and this is all after the Georgia loss. Um, so 89 points against Texas A&M. They're a top 10 defense. 90 points against Ole Miss, top 20 defense. Uh, 104 against Alabama. Believe it or not, Alabama is like a top 30 defense, and we just carve them up when we play them. Missouri, 95 on them. They have a top 30 defense. Tennessee, the number one defense in the nation. Well, they're number three now that they played us. So 86 points on them. So this team is just incredible. One thing that I don't like about college basketball is the player of the year, uh, national player of the year discussion because um, Walter Clayton Jr. should 100%, like if this were our high, like you know how they do the Heisman and they vote the top four get to go to the, they don't do that in basketball. It's just a private vote and then they just give the Wooden Award to, probably it's going to go to Cooper Flag of Duke. But it's a shame because Walter Clayton Jr. is, to me, he's the best player in the nation. We can talk about, well, Janai Broom does this and he rebounds and scores in the paint. Cooper Flag, true freshman, great NBA prospect. Those two things are true. But the thing is, they decided those guys in like January. And it's like, oh, who's going to win it? And I'm like, well, the season is still a lot to be decided. We should be talking about who emerges. I have a good feeling that if Florida cuts down the nets, Walter Clayton Jr. is going to be the reason they do that. And when he's on the court, he is like, if you ever watch those animal videos of like a lion, like when they get down, like ready to attack their prey, that's Walter. He is ready to attack you every single time, whether it's him shooting, which is lethal, or him finding a way to get somebody the ball who also is going to put the ball in the net. This team is, I mean, and he's the engine that keeps all that going. It's incredible. Um, and you know, I just think he should be player of the year personally. If you're asking me to vote for somebody, it would be him. But it's probably going to go to Cooper Flag of Duke, um, who is a really good player. He's a great talent. Um, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in this tournament because he was a little nicked up, and they're saying he's going to be back this weekend with the ankle injury. So we'll see. Um, Last but not least, just a couple of analytics for the people. Um, like I said, UF is the number one offense in the nation on Ken Palm. I mean, that's incredible. The last time we were rated that high, um, I believe was, well, actually, we've never been rated that high. But the last time we were rated that, oh, actually, okay, I take that back. The team that won the national championship in 06, 07, the second team, they won the championship the second year, was number one in Kim Palm in offense that year. Um, so one of the things that you got to know is, and this is a crazy stat, 21 of the last 22 national champions have either been UConn or they've been ranked in the top three overall in Ken Palm. And the Gators right now are the number two ranked team in Ken Palm. So, and we may play UConn in the second round, which will be interesting.
Who's number one?
Duke is number
You
one
got Duke
this
up
year.
there. Okay.
Um, Duke right now has the number three offense and the number four defense. Florida has the number one overall offense and the number 10 overall defense. So top 10 in both. Houston has the number 10 offense, the number 2 defense. So all three, usually if you're top 10 in both, you are a very difficult team to beat. Um, so we'll see what happens. So based on this, it's either going to be Duke, Florida, Houston, or UConn. Which I don't think UConn's going to win it because UConn, listen, Ken Palm last year, Florida was 12th in the nation in offense, 94th on defense. So we were a pretty good little team last year on offense. We were not great on defense. We could not stop anyone. When we played Colorado in that tournament game, we couldn't stop them from scoring. UConn has the same exact metrics. They're 14th on offense in Ken Palm, 94th on defense. They have really struggled to stop people from scoring. That is not a good recipe when you're going to play us.
Mhm.
And oh, by the way, they've only got 7 players that they play. They're going to get worn out. When your defense is worn out, the first thing to go is your fundamentals on defense. You start fouling, and the game's over at that point. And we've seen that in this tournament, the last 3 games, the SEC tournament. The other teams just don't have the depth to keep playing at a high level in the last 6, 7 minutes of the game against Florida. And then what happens is bing, bang, boom, it's a double-digit lead. Good night, game over. So that's probably what's going to happen if we end up playing UConn. But I'm not sure UConn's going to get past their first game against Oklahoma, which will be an interesting matchup for them. Um, so that's the basketball update. I love this team. Man, what a time to be alive. Todd Golden. Let me tell y'all something. This guy is an incredible coach. And the thing, and I know we were Scott Strickland, we were, saying bad things about Scott Strickland. He did not even hesitate. He knew when Mike White took the Georgia job, Strickland was on a plane to San Francisco to go hire Todd Golden. So we got to give the man credit when it's due because Todd Golden was like a diamond in the rough. He was an assistant under Bruce Pearl at Auburn. He went and coached at San Francisco, which is out there with Gonzaga, learning offense, how to score with the Zags. Because when you're in that conference, you're like, okay, well, we got to outscore Gonzaga. Gonzaga always has a top 10 offense. So he's learned how to do that. And he's brought all of that Auburn and Gonzaga type of play to Florida. So he's got a incredible knack for looking at talent, uh, identifying talent, and developing talent. Every player on this team is significantly better individually than when they first got here. And it's not even close. I just look at, like, for example, Ruben Chinyelu, the center. This guy was a raw athletic talent in the paint, great defensive presence, really didn't bring anything else to the table early in the season other than that. This guy now, you could throw him the ball and it's a bucket. And you talk about the dimension that adds to your team, that you have all 5 guys that can score. Look at what Tennessee did. They have this guy named Akpara, who is a great defensive player. I mean, he had some blocks in this game against Condon that were incredible. But they never threw him the ball on the offensive end because he's a liability at the rim trying to score in the paint. They don't have a post presence. They have to score everything shooting the ball. They don't have anything under the basket. And that was a significant disadvantage. And so when you play teams that are, they can score from every position, you're going to have problems trying to stop them. And that's what Tennessee ran into in this game. Now, the refs, trash. They were calling everything was a foul. And I was like, this is the worst officiated game on both ends that I've ever seen. I mean, half of Tennessee's team was fouling out in like 7 minutes to go in the game. I was like, okay, it's over now because I mean, they don't have their leading scorer.
Right.
But
Which is
you
fitting
know,
because the SEC refs have been rough all year, and it just makes sense and fitting that the SEC championship is horrendous.
and I'm just like, usually the championship game is like more, they let them play a little bit more, but
Right.
they were calling everything a foul. And I was like, and it was terrible because they would call Tennessee for fouls that I was kind of like, I don't think that was a foul. Then they would have to make up for it by coming down here and calling us for fouls that were like phantom fouls.
Dude,
And I
the
was like,
the environment in the arena sounded incredible though, dude. The
oh,
boos, the cheers, it sounded like it'd be a fun basketball game to attend.
and in Nashville, Tennessee obviously is going to bring a lot of fans,
Uh-huh.
but there were a lot of Gator fans there in
There was.
Nashville. Gator Nation is in Nashville, and I'm telling you, when we scored, they were loud.
Hmm.
I loved it.
No, yeah, you felt the energy through the screen. Like it was a really cool basketball environment, man. I loved it a lot. Um, cool. So is there anything else you want to chat about before we dive into the bracket? Obviously, we can start with the bracket with talking about the first game the Gators have. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we dive into that?
That's it.
Cool.
The bracket. So, guys, let's talk about this bracket. So, I will say this. One thing that also upsets me is Florida not even considered the number one overall seed, which I think is absolute trash, but whatever. Um, it has 100% to do with the fact that we're not a blue blood, because I can guarantee you if you put North Carolina or Duke on our logo, they would have us number one overall, no questions asked. Because when you look at Duke's resume compared to ours, we have it's like not even close how many more top ranked teams and tournament teams we've beaten compared to them. It's ridiculous, but I digress. When you look at the bracket on ESPN, I like looking at the ESPN because they have the latest bets, the latest line, so how much you're favored by. They have the day and the time that the game is going to play and the network. You can also download the CBS March Madness app, guys, which is the best one if you want to follow on with March Madness. You have to log in with your TV provider and you can pretty much watch all the games. The games are going to be regional, so they're going to be tagged to wherever your location is, and that's the game that you're going to get. So if you're in Florida, you're probably going to get Florida. But if you want all the games, just go ahead and get the March Madness app on CBS. It's really great. So they put us as the number one seed out west. The West bracket is a very tough looking bracket to me because when you look at all the teams that are in it, um, they put us in as the number one. St. John's, coached by Rick Pitino, is number two. The number three seed is Texas Tech, who's been a really good team in the Big 12 this year. Kansas and Arkansas are in there. So, two national championship Hall of Fame coaches right here. Missouri, which has been like our thorn in the side, is in our bracket. Maryland is in this bracket. Maryland has they've played so many good games. They've lost so many games like at the buzzer. They're in our bracket. And then, oh, by the way, UConn, the defending national back-to-back champs. So we're either going to play them or an SEC team that has already played us and has a game plan to play against us. So not that I'm worried, but that's interesting. Um, we will be taking on Norfolk State. I believe Norfolk State's in the MEAC. It's a 29 point spread right now. Listen, I know Virginia a couple years ago was the very first number one seed to lose to a 16 seed. Uh, I can tell y'all unequivocally, bet the house on Florida to win this. I don't know if we're going to cover 28 and a half, but there is 0.000 infinite number of 1% chance Norfolk State beats us. They have zero chance. So that is probably if there's one game on this whole bracket that you should just is this first game. That's just a I just tell you that right now. Norfolk say I like y'all, South Carolina. Y'all got the military base and everything. Good, congratulations on making March Madness. You're gonna get destroyed. Our best, our best, the best thing that we can hope for in this game is just don't get anyone injured. Have Walter Clayton Jr. out with 2 minutes into the second half. Clear the bench. Put Bennett Anderson out there. I love that guy, but that's it. I Todd Golden is the kind of coach that knows that, and he's probably planning. He's probably told his guys, "Hey guys, we're gonna hammer Norfolk State. We need to start game planning for UConn right now. I want everything we have on UConn right now because they already have that on Oklahoma. We played Oklahoma. They're an SEC team. So he said, look, we're preparing for UConn. I don't want to hear any ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, if Oklahoma ends up beating UConn, then congratulations. Like we know our opponent. And to me, that would be better for us if Oklahoma upset them because we already know how to play against them. So to me, oh, I'm sorry, but these times are Pacific times, by the way. So it's 6:50 Eastern if you're in Florida. Sorry about that. Um,
Okay.
on Friday. Um,
Good to know.
so yeah. So my prediction is Florida versus UConn. UConn will stay with us for the first half, and then I feel like we're gonna just hammer them in the second half. And Dan Hurley is gonna start cussing at every ref. Uh, but it's not gonna matter. We're gonna hammer them. Uh, People are saying Maryland is going to beat us. I don't think Maryland even wins their first game. I'm going with Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon's going to upset them. Colorado State is going to beat Memphis. Okay, so
Ooh.
then so that means we're gonna hammer whoever that is in Sweet 16. Now here's where it gets interesting. People are saying Drake is gonna beat Missouri. Forget about it. Mizzou's gonna hammer them. Don't even fall for that.
Great pick.
Drake is just gonna YOLO. You only live once. That's the only thing great about Drake. Let me tell you something. Missouri's gonna kill him. Texas Tech. Okay, I got Texas Tech. Arkansas. I like them. I think ultimately it's going to end up being Florida versus St. John's in the Chase Center in San Francisco in the Elite Eight. And St. John's is like a Dollar Tree, Tennessee. They got a great defense, but their offense is not nearly as good as Tennessee's. So over the course of 40 minutes, the dam will break and we're going to blow it wide open and we're going to the Final Four. So that's my projection. Take it or leave it. And then they put us on the same side as Auburn. Where's Auburn? So if Auburn makes it, we'd have to play them. But guess what? A lot of people are picking Michigan State. Let's see what happens.
I might be one of those people. I might be one of those people. Just saying.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. Auburn, I know some Auburn fans, are watching our channel. Listen, they were calling Auburn the best team in history and the best team altogether. They have not been the same team since January. Like they
Nope.
were blowing people out ever since January or February. Ever since February 1st, they have not been the same team. I don't know what it is, but they've fizzled out. Janai Broome is a great guy to throw the ball to. They've got great guards. They shoot threes well, but they just do not overwhelm you and dominate you like we do. And I don't know who's the guy that takes over the game from the guard position for Auburn. So that's probably why a lot of people are not picking them. right now. So we'll see what happens. On this side, real quick, they got Duke. Everyone's picking Duke. The thing about Duke, the thing that scares me about Duke, since everybody's going to want to pick Duke because it's Duke, is they have not played any good teams. And now they haven't had Cooper Flag the last couple of games, which I think actually helps them because other people have to step up and you get more experience. And then when he comes back, you should be better. But when Duke plays, if Duke ends up playing Mississippi State, I think they're better than Mississippi State, but or Baylor, but that's going to be like the best team they've played since they lost to Clemson, which is like insane. So, but they did give Duke a very easy bracket, in my opinion, because Oregon and Arizona are really not great 4 and 5 seeds. Wisconsin is an okay 3 seed. I would have honestly liked to flip Texas Tech with Wisconsin. But Alabama, let me tell you something. If Duke ends up playing Alabama, watch out. Last but not least, Houston. Houston has always, here's their problem. They shut you down, but they can't score. I think they can score a little bit better this year. They just can't score in the paint. So if they play somebody like a Georgia that can possibly stop them from scoring in the paint and force them to score outside, that could be tough for Houston. Um, I and then also Kentucky's beaten Tennessee 2 times this year, so that's a bad matchup for Tennessee. Um, I like Tennessee to move to the Elite Eight and to end up clashing with Houston in this bracket. Because like you said, Logan, I think Tennessee's a really good team. Um, it's going to be tough for me to pick against Tennessee in this bracket. Um, but I don't know.
BJ, we're on the same exact like thing right now, bro. It's insane. Wait until you see my bracket. It's like it's step for step with you, man. I'll put mine on screen next. Like we pretty much have the same mindset. I really like this Tennessee team.
Okay, yeah. Well, do you want to share?
No, do you have anything else you wanted to
Oh no,
say?
I'm good. I'm good. My final four right now. I'll just let you all know. I'm going right in the preliminary. It could change. I'm going Florida. I'm going Michigan State because Auburn has just fizzled out a little bit. I'm going. Woof. Let me tell you something. I want to pick Alabama. Give me the Tide going to the
Yeah.
Final Four. And then I'm going Tennessee. So this is crazy because I got 3 SEC teams. Hell, why did I just put Auburn? Why don't we just have the SEC? The Final Four of the SEC tournament is the Final Four for the national tournament.
There you go.
So we see how that went, right?
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Yeah. All right. I like it, man. Let's go ahead and I'll start sharing my screen on what we got. All right, cool. Well, here's what we're playing with right now. I have Auburn playing pretty well all the way up to Michigan State. Michigan State getting some nice wins as well. Having Auburn and Michigan State. I have Michigan State getting the win because, like you were talking about, EJ, Michigan State. I mean, Michigan State hasn't really been super impressive this year. They beat Michigan. I believe they just lost to oh my God, who was it? A team that they beat and they're in the bracket as well.
Oh, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yes. So they beat them. They lost against them. They're not they're not a bad team, but they're not really great. But I just don't really trust Auburn here. Iowa State, I believe from what I've heard, they have some injuries. So Iowa State, a solid team that people really like, but because of injuries, no. So I have Auburn and Michigan State, but Auburn, just like you were talking about, not doing great. It's really weird. We went into Auburn and got an insane win at home in the Auburn court, or on the Auburn court, and they haven't really been the same since. So yeah, I got Michigan State there. On this side, I have Duke versus Bama. I think Duke's going to make a solid run. I think Cooper being back is going to be huge for him. And even if he doesn't contribute as much, just having him on the court, I think is going to be huge for the whole team dynamic. I think that's what's really going to lead him to the Bama game. Alabama, I have BYU getting an upset on Wisconsin. I've watched, actually, weirdly, a couple BYU games this year. BYU, I don't know. I really like their basketball team. If they can stay healthy, I think then they can beat Wisconsin. And I like this BYU and Alabama game, but I think Bama goes on to play Duke. We're going to get to what's next in a minute. I think, I already picked it. I have Bama beating Duke, by the way, and moving on. Down here, we got Florida. I got Florida making an insane run. I do have UConn winning against Oklahoma. I think Florida gets the win there. And then Florida plays Memphis. I know people love this Maryland team, but I don't know. I'm just trying to make it fun here, man. I think Memphis is going to get a nice upset and play the University of Florida. At the bottom half, I have Missouri making it all the way.
Oh, no, I don't want to see them again.
I know. It's scary. I don't want to see it either, brother. But you got St. John's in Missouri, which I think can be a phenomenal basketball game. But I do think Missouri will sneak out with a win there on pure just will alone to try to get another shot at it with Florida. But I do think Florida gets the win over Missouri again. But, man, that will be a scary-ass game if that does happen. In the Midwest, we have Houston. I think Houston, like you were talking about, is a good team. And I have Clemson as well, a team that they made an insane run last year. I don't know what it is, man, but every time they play big teams, they get wins. It's kind of scary. But I think Houston will sneak out with a victory against Clemson. At the bottom half, I have Tennessee making a run. I know you were talking about how Kentucky has kind of been Tennessee's kryptonite this season. But Tennessee, man, I think they're pissed about the SEC championship. I think they want to make a statement. I think they want another shot against the University of Florida. And I think that's what we're going to try to see. I think they'll get a win against Kentucky. I think we're going to see Houston and Tennessee. I mean, I got to pick Tennessee here, right? I think they're a really, really good basketball team. So I have Tennessee getting a win. And then I have the Final Four being Michigan State versus Florida and Alabama versus Tennessee. I have Florida getting a win over Michigan State. I have Alabama beating Tennessee. And I have a Florida and Alabama championship. I have 189 points being scored in the championship game, and I have the University of Florida getting the win. But I think it's gonna be a really fun game, man. It's always an insane offensive, crazy fest every time these two guys, these two teams face each other. But that's my bracket. I don't know how good it is, how terrible it is compared to other people, but I don't know. We'll see. A lot of SEC bias, sure, but I do think we're the best conference in the country. So. That's my bracket, man.
I love it. I love it. And let me tell you, Alabama, I know we beat them pretty bad, but we're just a bad matchup for them. Not too many teams that are going to play against Alabama can do what we do, and they will beat them, So Alabama is a great pick. Tennessee's a good pick too, man, because Tennessee, let me tell you something. Now, if they weren't calling those fouls, I feel like we could have pushed the lead out a little bit more. But I actually like they got a guy named Gainey on their team. He's like the backup. He's like our Aberdeen. He comes off the bench, plays guard. If they would have just played him more, they might have had a chance. Because Ziegler was out there trying to jitterbug around. I was like, no, give it to Gainey. But I'm telling you, Tennessee. Ooh, and then Mizzou. I don't want to see Mizzou. That team is like, we should beat them. I feel like we're better. But anytime you play a team a third time, you just get jinxed out the ass. Mm-hmm. And I just don't want to play them.
I totally get it. No, trust me, dude. It hurts me to do it. But I'm trying to get that money, baby. I'm trying to make that money. Speaking of that, we do have a bracket. I will put the like a little group bracket thing on the ESPN app. I will put it down in the description down below. Definitely join. I have like the password and everything down there as well. It's a private, and I'll put the link to it there so you guys can join, make your own brackets. We're even doing like a money thing as well. You can enter with like I think $25, and you can win money if you have anywhere in the top 3 brackets, I believe, in the
Yep.
thing. So yeah, you guys can go ahead and do that. Yeah, EJ, it's going to be a fun March Madness, man. This is probably the first one that I'm really going to follow. Last year I did follow it because I was filming Sweet Magnolia Season 4, and we had like the whole cast and crew was playing it. It was insane. In between like location changes, we would all be watching it. Everyone would have it on their phones. They'd roll in TVs. It was pretty funny. But
How'd you do? How'd you do?
I did terrible. I was like second to last, bro. It was so bad. But like I didn't watch. I didn't know anything about the regular season. Like I didn't follow basketball at all last year. And I feel like I have a little bit more, expertise on it, a little more knowledge on it. And but obviously it's March Madness, dude. Nothing's gonna go the way we think it is. Some crazy upsets are gonna happen. That's what makes it fun.
Well, I just want the our listeners to understand one fact. Okay. If the Florida Gators are losing 99% of the time or reason is because Logan Allen does not have the game on. Because I can tell you right now, every time he has the game on, he doesn't have to be watching it. Just have it on somewhere. We immediately start going on a run and start destroying somebody. But if the game's not on, like the Georgia game, I texted, I said, "Hey Logan, are you watching the game?" No, man. I'm a celebrity. I'm doing my thing. And I'm like, okay, we're down by 30 points. And let me tell you something. He turned the game on. We took the lead.
It was actually insane, dude. It was crazy.
I was like, okay, we were down by 20. We took the lead. We had a chance to win that game. It was insane. I was like, this means we would have been winning by 30 if you would have had the game on the whole time. So
Yeah.
I'm very superstitious. So if you see the Gators losing, text him.
My phone's gonna blow up. Actually, it's not gonna blow up because we're gonna destroy every team ahead of us, baby. Let's get it. Go Gators. EJ, I know you got to go soon, man. Any last things you want to talk about?
Man, we're all just monitoring the whole DJ Lagway injury situation. I know that he's got some sort of shoulder situation. One thing that I think you brought this up, Logan, DJ Lagway, how durable is DJ Lagway? Because, we dealt with this with Anthony Richardson, which it's kind of like you breathe on him and he's injured. And it was like a different injury every single time.
Literally every game.
Every game is a hamstring, an ankle, a leg, and then dealing with the same thing with the Colts, concussion. So some people are just injury prone, and we just want to know, is that the case with Lagway? Because he seemed pretty durable after getting that hamstring, because hamstrings are kind of like freak accidents. It's a shoulder situation. We don't know the details, but they're limiting him in throwing. We don't know how he got injured or whatever, but you just need a durable quarterback. And the funny thing about Florida is when we have great quarterbacks, they're very injury prone. When we have, like who's the guy, Emory Jones? You could run Emory Jones over with a freaking dump truck and the guy would get back up like nothing's wrong.
He was a small guy too. He wasn't like big.
Yeah, I was like, you can run him over with one of these tanks we have here in San Diego at the military, and he'd get up like nothing happened. But these other guys, you breathe, and it's like, oh, I'm out for the year. We need to make sure Lagway's okay. If we need to bubble wrap him for spring practice, do whatever you need to do. O-line, you got to protect this guy. That's all we're gonna say.
Yeah, because he's not even throwing in practice right now. So I'm assuming that means that it's the throwing shoulder, which is scary. I guess that's what he gets when he dates the Florida Gator softball pitcher for the softball team. But he's out here throwing softballs. But no, yeah. So he yeah. I hope he gets better, man. It's the one injury you don't want, right? Because if he gets to like a hamstring, like we were talking about, he played the whole second half of last year with a bad hamstring. You know what I mean? And so he can do that. But what's his best attribute? His arm, his deep ball, right? And obviously you can't do that when you have sprain or strain, whatever it is in his shoulder, his throwing shoulder. And I'm just really, really hoping he recovers okay. I hope that he doesn't lose any mobility in it. That's a very scary thing, and we're going to keep an eye on that because once again, a couple weeks into spring practice, he still has not done any throwing motions. So we'll see what happens this week because obviously we'll be more active now that March Madness is going on, and we'll keep you guys updated on what's going on with the Gators. And whenever we get some more news on what's going on with Lagway, we'll definitely let you know. Thing is, we're less than a month out now because I think April 14th or something like that is the Orange and Blue game. So is he going to even participate? I'm assuming not, right? So that's not good because that's his one game, one time before the regular season where he gets to play in front of a big crowd. So, it's going to be really interesting, but we'll definitely keep an eye on it and keep you guys updated.
For sure.
Alrighty. Well, we appreciate you guys, man. Like I said, link down in the description. Join our March Madness bracket. Make your own bracket in our group. Let's do it, man. It'll be a fun time. You can win some money. We love y'all. EJ, any last words?
Gators, let's get this. Let's get this done. Let's win this chip.
Yes, sir. Let's do something. Go Gators, baby. We'll see you next time.
Peace.